But then I thought about something I thought was very interesting, and I saw an article in Newsweek that kind of laid out a particular argument about who's accountable and why haven't they been talking about this particular individual. And who are we talking about, Ms. Jones?
Well, they're talking about the esteemed Dick Cheney and how come he hasn't been as verbal as he has about this particular situation, you know, because he's spoken about newsworthy situations before and voiced his opinion rather strongly. And now when we're in a situation that's very directly connected to him and his investments and a lot of his income over the years, he's been curiously silent.
And former Vice President Dick Cheney is a former director of Halliburton. Interesting. Directly connected to the oil spill. Was in office during a period of time where a lot of these policies that we're talking about were put into place. And he doesn't seem to have anything to say about it. You find that a little interesting, Zach? Or a little curious?
I think it's very interesting, particularly, you know, the fact that he retained ties to, you know, Halliburton even while in office. I don't know if that's a conflict of interest. I mean, it certainly would have been. I think should have it happened to President Obama, anyone else in his administration, and that he was influencing energy policy. And from what the article talks about in terms of when President Bush signed the Energy Policy Act 2005, it incorporated a lot of his you know, sort of policies and ideas, and it incorporated the Halliburton loophole, which moves authority from the Environmental Policy Agency to regulate damaging and dangerous gas drilling processes invented by Halliburton. So it's kind of like you put in a loophole, almost like a prenuptial agreement, you know, knowing something could happen potentially, just to kind of safeguard yourself from any issues. And you know, just like with a lot of things, you know, he seems to be, you know, very elusive, you know, in terms of, you know, accountability and responsibility, even as he had called for accountability for the Obama administration with regard to Afghanistan, Iraq, and other nations. So it is strange, you know. I don't know why there's a silence, but it might have something to do with this sort of, you know, murky, you know, tightrope that you know, has to be walked, you know, considering what could, you know, unravel with any other public statements.
Yeah, and as Zach mentioned, retaining your ties to Halliburton, you know, even after he was in office, you know, it's one thing to, they mentioned two things, the deferred compensation and also some unexercised stock options. Okay, the deferred compensation will give you that. You know, if they owe you money, you know, you can take it over time. But not exercising stock options, that's a direct connection, and it's a direct conflict of interest. And I'm surprised that someone in his position was allowed to retain that. Even, you know, sometimes in business, in politics, and in a lot of other areas, sometimes you do things to remove the appearance of conflict of interest, you know, even if there isn't a direct conflict of interest, and something that's stark and clear, showing that there's a connection, that you have an interest in this company succeeding and their stock prices rising and all that other stuff, is ridiculous that the news and, you know, and the cabinet and everybody else allowed something like this to continue without questioning it as a problem.
Well, isn't that really the issue, though? We haven't heard anything from Vice President because the media hasn't held him accountable. They seem to always have something to say about what President Obama is doing or not doing, but here you have someone that has directly affected policy way before Obama was ever in office, not being held accountable.
I think a lot of things are public information. Of course, the media again has been on President Obama, you know, as you know, moth has been to a flame. I mean, on everything, you know, and that's, you know, both the left and the right, which is, you know, amazing. When you look at, you know, what the article talks about with regard to cronyism, you know, or networking ties, you know, if you want to make it lighter, you know, he mentions, you know, Ann Womack Colton, who was, you know, Cheney's former campaign press secretary, who was recently named BP's head of U.S. media relations. I mean, well, just like with the Green, you know, the article on Green, I mean, in politics and even political matters, most things don't happen by accident. It happens as a result of association and connection, you know, who's next in line, who knows who. So, you know, if you just follow the trail, and that's what the media, you know, in the tradition of what Lori mentioned about good, you know, investigative journalism is supposed to do, you know, irregardless of political persuasion. You know, and this recent discussion about, you know, minerals management service and how President Obama is of course, he just appointed someone, you know, to head that up, to try to, you know, break up that, you know, that mess and all. What's not talked about in the media is the complexity of the issue and how he is trying astutely and politically to navigate a tightrope, but also to try to, seriously, resolve some major issues and crises, in government bureaucracy.